Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Off the Dome podcast, episode 28. We got our guest on today again for the second time. OJ knows sports. How's it doing, man?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Ready for some playoff basketball. As we're recording this, I do have the Wizards and 76ers game going on in the back. Um, Washington kind of hanging around right now. But yeah, we're going to be talking about all the playoff series in the first round. We're going to be making our full playoff predictions today. The games have already started, but really, I mean, honestly, the first few games haven't given away too much about the series, sort of what we've kind of been expecting. Close series, close games, should be fun first round.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there'll be a lot of crazy surprises in the first round, but we'll see. But I'll be honest with you, this is one of the more exciting first rounds that I can recall in a while. Especially, I mean, Milwaukee and Miami in round one. I mean, that's crazy. So I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it, bro.
very exciting. Let's start in the Western Conference. Let's
Sure.
start off with the Utah Jazz, 1 seed Jazz, 8 seed Memphis Grizzlies. Who do you have going? Who do you have winning in that? And do you have like a certain amount of games? Do you have it going as well, or do you just like
Yeah.
not?
Most of these I'll have. Utah in five, man. Utah in
Okay.
five, and I think, and in our last podcast, I mentioned that to me, Utah Jazz is the equivalent of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NBA. To
Right.
where I don't fully believe in them in a sense. I think they're somewhat imposters, but they are a much higher quality team than the Memphis Grizzlies, man. So I have Utah five. Out of respect for Ja Morant and the way that Valanciunas has been playing lately, I'll give him a game. So, but I have Utah in five.
Yeah, I'll take Utah in 5 as well. That was my prediction. The thing with the Jazz, I think, especially is Donovan Mitchell's health is such a big deal for them. Mitchell, he like his role in the playoffs is huge because I think Utah they got the quality to like they can make a finals push just given the fact of how talented they are. On their day, they can beat pretty much anybody in the league, but they need Donovan Mitchell. That's their guy. That's their closer. Without that shit, I mean, they can get past the Jazz or they can get past the Grizzlies, but the second, third round, much tougher teams.
Mm-hmm.
How
Nice.
about Clips and Mavs?
So Clippers and Mavericks. Honestly, I have the Clippers in six, and I don't care that they lost last night. And
Mhm.
that was the one game I told you that might change it a little bit, but it's like, oh man. But I'm gonna stick to my guns, man. I have the Clippers. I mean, we could do a whole podcast about the Clippers, man, and how I feel about them.
Bruh.
And the fact that Kawhi Leonard is probably not a top five player, bro. He's not, man. And I honestly think we've been bamboozled, man, like from when he played for Toronto and sort of that historic, beautiful, romantic playoff run. And I don't know, man. Like I have Clippers in six, but beyond that round, man, I don't know. But I have Clippers in six for the time
You're
being.
not
And
sure if
I didn't
Kawhi.
see the game,
Oh,
so maybe you could speak more to the game. I only saw highlights, so I don't know basically what happened in the game. But yeah,
yeah. I
Clippers.
mean, I saw the first like 2.5 quarters. That Kawhi Leonard dunk on who was it, Maxi Kleber. That was disgusting. That was just stupid. We put him on a poster on a fast break and sent him flying back. I've always said this about Kawhi, probably the most underrated posterizer in the NBA, no doubt about it. Like people don't quite realize the amount of just sheer strength, like just posterizing ability this guy has. He just puts anybody on a poster. It's ridiculous.
And those
But
massive hands helps a lot.
those hands, man, they're
Grip that ball.
huge. But before the series started, I picked the Clips in 5 games. I'm not sticking with that anymore. That was before the series started, but like now I've got to. I
Okay.
still pick the Clippers. I still got to roll with Kawhi. I'm gonna go with you. I'll go with Clips in 6. I could see it going 7 though.
But let me ask you
Um,
this though, before we move on. So you had them in five initially.
yeah.
Like, was it just a disregard for Dallas? Was it a thing of you didn't think they had enough talent
I
besides?
mean, honestly, like the thing is with the playoffs too, man. Like 5 games, 6 games, it's one shot that can change that. You know what I mean? If Chris Middleton doesn't hit that shot against the Miami Heat, or something weird happens at the end of that game, then I mean it goes from 5 game series, which seems really short, to a 6 game series, which that's a respectable series if you
Point,
can hang
man.
with
Yeah. If
six.
Giannis hits that free throw, they
Dude,
maybe they don't even go to overtime.
that's bro,
You
if
know?
Giannis hits any of those free throws, man, that guy was I want to talk about that a bit later, but Giannis Antetokounmpo at the free throw line, that's a problem if you're the Milwaukee Bucks right now, because like that's ridiculous. But yeah, Clips in 5, it still could happen. But Kawhi Leonard, I still got to put Kawhi in my top 5. I'm not gonna say he's not a top 5 player, but
I'm
I just
not
want to
there yet,
see.
but these players is gonna prove a lot to me. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
I do
And I
agree
was
with you
just kind of
though.
like floating that out there, but
Yeah,
currently still, yeah,
I do agree with you though. We're all kind of we're all kind of like bamboozled by that 2019 run with Toronto, because at the time we're all like, yo, Kawhi Leonard, he can take any team to a championship. If he can make the Raptors win, he can make anybody win. But I mean, like,
yeah.
I just don't know if that's true though. Like, you know what I
Yeah, if
mean?
you truly analyze that, you see that that was one of the ugliest buzzer beaters I've ever seen in my life. The little, it doesn't say, it says like clink, 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 and it goes in. And then obviously
Yeah,
you have the Warriors that were completely devastated. So, but
yeah.
it is what it is. I'm not going to use injuries because you could play that game with the Warriors or the Cavs in 2016, was it? So,
You could play that game with the Lakers last year as well. I was just thinking
yeah,
about this watching the Miami Heat. I mean, Butler was hurt that series, putting up 45 points in some games. Dragic was hurt. Bam and about. That's like their 3 best players were all injured. I mean, you
yeah,
can play the injury game. I don't like playing the injury game personally.
yeah,
It's
me
all
too.
hypothetical. Like, it's part of the game. Let's move on. Nuggets and Portland Trailblazers. This is a good series. Rematch of, was it 2018 when they won 7 games? That was their 2018 series was, or 2019, I think it was. That was a ridiculous series when they both won 7 games. And the second round it was. Who do you have winning this one?
I got Portland in 6. Honestly, I just think it's gonna be too much firepower. I think Murray, his absence is gonna really show now that it's in the playoffs. Half court offense, rotations are gonna shorten up. So yeah, I'm going with Portland in 6.
Yeah, I picked Denver in 7 on this one. Again, that's before the series started. Portland, like, I mean, Jamal Murray, he's not he's hurt still, right? Like, he's not in their
No, he's
rotation.
done. He's not coming
Yeah,
back for the
that's
playoffs.
tough. Like, I would still pick Denver, and right now I'm probably leaning more toward Portland after game 1. But my pre-playoff prediction was Denver in 7. Still could happen. I'm just rolling with my
That one
guys
could go
cold.
either way, to be honest with you. I mean, out of all the, I'm looking at the board. That one might be the one that's like, I mean, would you say that one's the closest thing one to being a toss up? I
I
mean,
would say that one or
that
the
wouldn't be
Atlanta.
surprised if Denver
I
won.
think Atlanta, New York is a toss-up as well.
Really? Oh, okay,
I
we'll
think
get into
so.
that one. That'll be
Clips and
interesting.
Mavs. Yo, Clips and Mavs low key might be as well. Like, especially after game 1. And look at, and the way the way their series went last year. Clips and Mavs, that could go. Like, I could see Mavericks winning that. Um, but yeah, Nuggets, Portland. You have anything else you wanted to add to that, or we're just good to move on?
Yeah, I'm good for that one.
Yeah. Now the big one in the Western Conference. This one's gonna get all the ratings. Lakers versus the Phoenix Suns. How long do you have that series going? Who do you see winning?
Man, this is gonna sound disrespectful to the Suns, bro, but Lakers in 5, man. Like I the biggest weakness, in my opinion, to the Phoenix Suns is their interior defense.
Yeah,
And you can argue that Lakers' greatest strength is their size and their interior scoring. You put that together, it's a recipe for disaster for Phoenix, man. And I could be wrong. And I thought a lot about this, man. 5 games? Man, you can't even
too
give Chris Paul
short.
more than 1 game, but Lakers in 5. Frankly, I hope I'm wrong. I really like Chris Paul, and I think it would be a very entertaining series. But Lakers in 5.
Yeah, I picked Lakers in 6, but as you were saying that, I was still like, I might like that. I could see the Suns winning this, man. Like, I'm not. I see the series completely differently, I think, than you do. The way I see it, I take a lot from what I saw Clippers versus Warriors, and I mean, Phoenix, they have a weakness on the interior on defense. At least they have a big man though. Golden State has, like, they have Kevon Looney, who can't match the size, or he's just not good enough, and they have Draymond Green, who's like 6'7". DeAndre Ayton's a big guy, and I think Ayton can play a big role in this series, man, if he just kind of mans up a little bit against Andre Drummond, AD. And you look back at the Houston series, Lakers Houston last year. Houston, their center was 6'5", but the Lakers didn't beat them by their size and physicality. The Lakers beat them by playing really good defense and their shooting. I mean, like, guys like Boogie barely played that series. Um, I mean, that Houston series last year, that's sort of what I look at, where it's like Lakers don't necessarily need to beat you with their size. I
That's
think
true.
I think
But
Phoenix can hang
they
around the
going
series.
PJ Tucker quite a bit, and they doubled the hell out of Harden. So those two
Yeah.
variables played a major role.
Yeah, I think the Suns can hang around in the series. I still have the Lakers winning, but I'm gonna never count out Chris Paul. I mean, Chris Paul last year, he almost beat the Rockets with that OKC. He almost took the OKC Thunder to the second round last year.
Yeah, he did. No, and that's the only thing that's giving me some level of hesitancy, right? It's Chris Paul.
It's Chris
But
Paul effect,
for
bro.
me, man, it's like, is DeAndre Ayton, what the hell are you gonna get from him? And that to me is a mystery, man. You don't know which Ayton you're gonna get, and I'm not comfortable with that level of mystery. That's why. And I will say this for the record, the Warriors are one of the best teams defensively in terms of help defense.
That is
If you look
true.
at the footage, the way they played with AD, and obviously, I mean, I was gonna say Drummond, but Draymond Green is a defensive player of the year candidate, the caliber player. So there is that too. But I I think a lot of it, you know what you're gonna get from CP3. You know what you're gonna get from Booker and then LeBron and AD, but Ayton, what are we gonna get from Ayton? So he's the main reason, honestly, why I have him in 5.
I think another man that can play a big role in this series is Andre Drummond as well in the Lakers, because he's had a lot of games with the Lakers where it's just like he does nothing, he just sits there. But I think like he's got, I mean, he's got a bit of talent, but he's got a lot of size, and I think he can play a big role. I said that my prediction before the playoffs started is that I'm not a big Lakers fan. I really don't like the Lakers. I'm predicting Andre Drummond to become my least favorite player in the NBA in a month from now. He's gonna start pissing me off, man. I swear to God, Drummond's gonna start pissing
Yeah,
me
well,
off.
he did. Frank Vogel's another question mark, man, because his rotation, and I was paying very close attention to that first game. I did not first game. I meant to say against the Warriors, and it was not very good. So they're gonna have to figure out that rotation. Like, do you play Drummond and Harold? Do you play Drummond with AD? They are technically at their best when AD's at the 5, but he doesn't like. So seeing that Phoenix is they have a decent size, it's gonna be interesting to see how Frank Vogel does his rotations. So.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that series. Let's go to the Eastern Conference now. Philadelphia versus Washington. Who's winning that one?
Philadelphia versus Washington. To my knowledge, Embiid is pretty healthy as is, right? Currently.
Yeah.
And I think the game, as you mentioned, the game's going on right now.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, man. I got a gentleman's sweep, man. I got a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah.
Washington is not a good team. I hate to say it, man. I hate to say it, bro. Like, the old Westbrook always comes back, man, the fourth quarter with the volume shooting, the inefficiency, man. And I want to say him and Billy deserve at least a game, but I'm just going to make a bold call, and I'm going to say Philly, man, with the gentleman's sweep. It ain't going to be a massacre, but a gentleman's sweep. So.
I'm going to tell you this right now. As we're speaking, it's halftime. 62-61 for the Wizards right now. But the biggest surprise, man, Tobias Harris has 28 points at halftime.
Really?
Joel Embiid's got, like, no one else in the 76ers has more than 10. Tobias Harris is chilling with 28 points at halftime. This guy's a killer, man.
Tobias Harris is he playing the 2 or the 3 for them?
I think he's playing more the 3 because, like, Danny Green.
So who's
they have Seth Curry on there with him. I'm not really sure.
Okay, that's gonna be interesting. I'll have to check that out. But I guess the only thing I'll say about this is we'll see what in the fourth quarter the real Russell Westbrook come out. So when he starts jacking it up. So, but
yeah.
The half court offense in Russell Westbrook, man, is just definitely leaves something to be desired. So we'll see. I could be wrong though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's a very disrespectful prediction. You know what I'm saying? A sweep of Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, but.
I know. I mean, it could happen. All right, New York, Atlanta. This is a series that I said would probably be a toss-up.
You didn't say your prediction though for Philly and Washington.
Oh, sorry, I picked Philly in 6. I think Washington can get a couple of games. They just got their. I mean, Washington's been pretty much playing playoff basketball for the past like 3 months or 2 months.
They have.
I mean, they've been in a win. They've needed wins for the past 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's just the way I look at it. Knicks versus Atlanta Hawks. I'll start with my prediction. I'm predicting Knicks in 7, but I could see Hawks winning this. And like I don't know. I'm really this is one like I could see going either way.
That's interesting, man. I guess I'm alone in this, man. I have the Knicks in 5, and it's funny because a couple of buddies of mine, we're all talking. They're like, "Bro, you're crazy. Everyone has it either going, like in 7 Knicks or 7 Hawks.
Mhm.
But for me, it's Atlanta, man. I just don't trust that team. And I've actually watched a decent amount of Atlanta basketball this year, and they have moments where they're erratic and they still kind of look young. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little aggressive, but I think that New York defense is really gonna clamp down a lot on Atlanta. So
All
I
right.
got
Yeah, I
5.
mean Knicks in 5. I don't have, or Knicks in 7. I don't have a lot to say. I honestly haven't watched very much of either of these two teams. Um, and it's weird. Like I could see this series going Knicks and 7. At the same time, I could see the Atlanta Hawks just somehow just catching fire and winning in 5 games. Like it's just one of those series where I have no idea what to expect. And that's partly my fault because I just don't really watch these two teams play at all. I just like I think it's just who's having a better, like who's hotter over that stretch of week and a half or 2 weeks of basketball is who's going to win this series. Because yeah, I mean I can't like say confidently who I think is going to win, but my
Yeah.
pick is Knicks in 7.
Knicks and
Uh,
7. The only thing I'll add with the Knicks, though, I have been watching a decent amount of basketball with the Knicks, simply because of Julius Randle. I'm like, man, let me see what this hype is about. And
yeah,
so this dude is, I mean, clearly the most improved player. Like, it's not even funny. But they play defense very well. And then I think RJ Barrett has stepped up a lot big time. For me, the biggest weakness, the Knicks have is sort of perimeter scoring late in the stretch. They could go to Randall, but Randall, he's not a very high IQ player. So that's my only concern for them. So we'll see.
all right. Bucks versus Miami Heat. We saw game one yesterday. Who do you have winning that one?
So before I even saw the game, I had Milwaukee in 6. I'm gonna stick to it. Although if you're a Miami Heat fan, you got to be pretty happy with what you saw, man. I mean, like the game was, I believe they're on the road. Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
Milwaukee has home court advantage for that game. Jimmy Butler, man, just only thing about the Heat that concerns me and is it's like Jimmy Butler has to have a Herculean effort, like for them to like be in the game. I mean, because he made some tough shots. And granted, Duncan Robinson had a very good game, but how much more of those are you gonna get? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it's a matter of I think I could depend on Giannis, Middleton, and Drew more than, and I know I could depend on Bam and then Butler, but who's the third guy from Miami? I don't know who that third guy is gonna be, and they don't need the same third guy because if you saw in the playoffs last year, they always had a different dude. One
Mm-hmm.
day it was Tyler Hero, one day it was another guy. So
Dude, it
yeah,
was Kelly Olynyk for a little bit in the NBA Finals, man. Kelly
yeah, for sure.
Olynyk, like he can be anybody. I think I took a lot. I took what happened yesterday a lot differently than you did. I picked Bucks in 5 before the series started. I'm gonna still say Bucks in 5, and I think Miami. Like you look at the game last year. First off, I think Jimmy Butler. I mean, shooting wise, was not very good. He missed a lot of like his shooting percentages were terrible. But he hit the clutch shots when it mattered.
Yeah,
Fair play. Um, but if you're the Miami Heat and you hold a team to 16% from downtown, and their superstar misses like 5 straight late game free throws, gets a 10-second violation at the free throw line. What do you like? That never happens, and you still lose the game. That was the game to win. That was a huge game for Miami, and I mean that's one of those games where you're going to look back and I don't want to say it's a must-win game. It's early on in the series, but that's got to be that's a tough one to take if you're the Miami Heat because
mhm.
Giannis was not playing very good last night. He was missing a lot of, he missed a couple of layups in the first half. He was missing some shots. At the end of the day, his stat line's always going to look good. That's Giannis, but when you watch the game, he wasn't having an MVP caliber game.
No, he did not at all. And that last layup that Butler hit at the end of regulation, I don't know what Giannis was doing. That
Yeah,
was horrible defense. Just slide to the left. Jimmy Butler is not very good at going to his left, right? And I'm
yeah.
not gonna say he's terrible. He's just not very good. He prefers to go to his right. Just cut that off, Giannis. So when I saw that play, I'm like, yo, that's not like Giannis. So I don't know that Butler will ever get that. Like 9 out of 10 times, Giannis is gonna shut that up, and Jimmy's gonna have to settle for
Yeah.
jump
I
shots.
I'm a big fan though of Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson, that's my guy, bro.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love Duncan Robinson, but this man,
he's
he's
the
a
X
sharp
factor. Yeah,
shooter, bro.
for sure.
Absolute sniper. All right, Brooklyn, Boston. This was I mentioned that last night or yesterday was a must win for Miami. I think last night was also a game where Boston, that if you're gonna win one game in this series, that might have been it. How long do you have that series going?
It's gonna be a sweep, and it's not gonna be a gentleman's sweep. It's gonna be a clean body by Brooklyn. And here's the thing, man. Jason Tatum can only do so much, man. It's just gonna come down to the story of this series is gonna come down to one thing, man. Like scoring. And I know you might think, okay, well, it always comes down to scoring. Whoever scores more points wins. But like, at the end of the day, you're depending on one guy so much. As far as Kemba Walker, man, I'll be honest with you, man. It's whatever with him, man, because you don't know what you're gonna get from Kemba Walker. But you got three of those guys, bro, healthy. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's just so much has to go right for Boston and so much has to go wrong for the Nets for them to even lose a game. So I got a clean body, sweet.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I mean before the series started, I picked Nets in 5. I thought Boston was going to get game 1. That was our prediction. Like the last few years, the winning team, the championship winning team, always loses the first game of the series or the first game of the playoffs. It's going to happen again. And Boston, that was their game. That was their game to win. After that game, I stayed Nets in 4 because it was a close game for 3.5 quarters. The superstars on Brooklyn wasn't really getting it done. And like you said, a lot has to go right for Boston and a lot has to go wrong for Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Last night, a lot was going right for Boston, a lot was going wrong for Brooklyn. But at the end of the day, it's literally 3 Hall of Famers at their peak of their powers right now. Um,
It's
First
too
ballot Hall
much,
of Famers.
man.
It's just
It's just too much fire. I mean, if you tell me Jalen Brown's healthy, maybe I'll give him a game or two. But without
yeah,
Jalen Brown, you're asking so much from Jason Tatum. You're
yeah.
asking so much, man.
All right, let's go on to the second round. For the second round, I got Utah versus the Clippers out in the West. That's the same as you, right? You had the
Yep,
Clips
that's the
winning
same.
first round. All right, Utah Clippers. Who's winning?
That this honestly might be the hardest pick in the entire bracket, man. Like
Really?
it just could go because I just don't trust either teams, man. Like I don't trust the Clippers at all. I don't trust the Utah, man. But I just Clippers, man. I guess, and I'm not happy about it, man. Now I'm thinking the Clippers. I'm thinking the Clippers in 7, man, and I'm not happy about it. So. But it could go either way, bro. I might change my mind tomorrow, but right now Clippers in 7. It's just I don't know. It's just
I
so
think,
tough.
first of all, if the Clippers even get there, that's a series that Donovan Mitchell, he's going to play a big role in that series because if without Donovan Mitchell, the Jazz, I just can't beat the Clippers, I don't think. When it just comes down to sheer star power. But with Donovan Mitchell, I think the Jazz could get it done. That being said, I'm going to take the Clippers. I got Clippers in 6. Again, I'm a big Kawhi Leonard guy. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just two teams where it's like you don't really trust either of them to get it done. And it's just like, which team do you trust the least?
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's weird. Nuggets or I got you had Portland versus Lakers, right? I got Nuggets Lakers. Either way, who do you have winning Portland versus the Lakers?
Lakers either way. Lakers in
Yeah,
6. So
Lakers in 6 either way. I'd probably go Lakers in 5, honestly, especially after what happened last year. And Jamal Murray's out. Nikola Jokic got completely exposed in the conference finals last year for me. Um,
so because you have Denver. Okay, that makes sense because
yeah,
you
I
have
had
Denver
Denver.
and I
Portland,
have Portland. So but honestly, if Denver wins, I would agree with you. Then Lakers in 5. But because I have Portland,
yeah.
Lakers
I think Portland match up better with the Lakers. It's
for
Damian
sure.
Lillard, CJ's healthy now, right? I don't know why I don't know this yet. Um,
Yeah, he should be.
yeah,
Yeah.
CJ's big. Because I mean, you look back at Portland in years past. After the first round, Dame does his thing in the first round. After the first round, CJ just wakes up and he kind of takes the reins, and that's partly to do with Damian Lillard just not really performing a lot very well after the first round. But either way, Lakers take that. They're just, I mean, it's LeBron, bro. Playoff LeBron is just different,
Yeah, it's
and
different. Yeah.
it doesn't even surprise me anymore, bro. Like the guy's 36, 35, whatever, and he's still the best player in the world in the playoffs. That's just how it goes.
And it's
Um,
funny, like he has to remind people every year. And
yeah,
for me, bro, he doesn't have to remind me. That's why it's like it's LeBron, bro. Like, all right, you got it, bro. Like, I'm not gonna go against you until you've shown me otherwise. So yeah,
yeah.
you're
And
right.
the thing is, he's been doing it for so long too. And it's funny because like LeBron, he's been having like playoff LeBron since what, like 2012. I mean, back in like 2011. Back then, before he started winning championships, playoff LeBron seems kind of like, all right, he's gonna come in here, he's gonna choke it all the way.
Mhm.
But for the past, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, playoff LeBron is just the best player in the world. And
Yep.
in that stretch of time, we've had guys like I used to think playoff Kawhi Leonard. No one can stop that. But I mean, playoff Kawhi, he's just not like playoff LeBron. Playoff like other
The player
players, Jimmy
Kawhi
Butler.
is more. He'll give you great defense and decent
Yeah,
offense. LeBron just does so much more, man.
but it's just not the same. And LeBron does it every game, bro, and like every year as well. Like that. I mean, that's goat shit right there. That's just
Oh
why
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's coming for the greatest player of all time this year. All right, Eastern Conference, Philadelphia versus New York. We both had that going. How many games do you see that going?
I got Philly in 5. I should say 6, man. I got Philly. Regardless of if it's New York or Atlanta, Philly in 5.
Yeah, Philly will win that. I'd say Philly 6, Philly in 5. Doesn't really matter. Brooklyn. Here's a series though I think can be very entertaining. Brooklyn versus Milwaukee in the second round. I'm excited for that. Uh, how many games and who's winning?
First of all, I think Milwaukee has the best chance to beat Brooklyn. I don't think it's Miami. I don't think it's Philly, man. I think it's Milwaukee.
I agree
But
with that.
with that being said, it's just too much, man. Like so my thing is this. All right, Drew Holiday is a great defender. I mean, he could slow down Harden maybe, but then how about Curry? Who's gonna pick up Curry? And not Curry, I'm sorry, Irving.
Yeah,
Who's gonna pick up Kyrie? Like it's just either way you slice it, you have to pick your poison. I gotta go with the Nets. I'll say the Nets in 7. Because the
Nets in
Nets,
7,
yeah, I
dude.
think Nets in 7 because Milwaukee played them very tough in the regular
Yeah,
season. However, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the Bucks play the Nets ever when they were fully healthy with all 3 guys. I don't think they
bro,
did.
like, it feels like no one ever played the Nets and they're fully healthy. That team is always missing at least two or like one or two of their
Yeah,
superstars. Um, I've gone completely opposite. I mean, I still think Brooklyn's gonna win, but I think they're gonna get rid of Milwaukee very quickly. I'm going
really.
Brooklyn in 5, man. And it's just it's
I,
just
I like it.
you could like, and the thing is, I say that you pick the Nets in 7, but if I were to tell you Nets are winning this in 5 games, if I'm from the future and I came back and told you Nets are gonna win this in 5, you'd be like, yeah, I can see that, just because the sheer star power that is on that team. And listen, I agree with you. I think the in the East, Milwaukee's got the best chance of beating Brooklyn. Milwaukee can catch Brooklyn lack in a few games. They can probably get 2 or 3. That could happen. I just don't think it will. It's like I've completely
Let me
kind of
ask you
switched on
this:
Brooklyn, man. It's just they're too good.
they're very good, but for me, the one thing that I only have one pause with Brooklyn. That's it. Is their defense, man. That thing is just non-existent. That thing is
Yeah.
just not. And so Milwaukee's offense could get going, right? And you couple that with their stifling defense, all of a sudden, you may have a situation on your hands. So that's why I have them going 7. But ultimately, man, that offense is just it's just too prolific, man.
Yeah.
It's just too prolific.
Yeah. Milwaukee, Brooklyn. I mean, that's one series. I think like Philadelphia, they got really lucky because I mean, I think Philly has pretty much they've got a free ticket to the conference finals, man. Like
Yeah,
you
they
look at the
do.
teams
They
they
got that
play,
weak behind bracket, man.
bro. Yeah, if they can't get to the conference finals, there's something wrong in
You know, I
Philadelphia.
mean, Washington and then the winner of New York and Atlanta. It's
Yeah.
been a while since I've seen a path to the conference finals that easy, man.
That's that. Yeah, it's way too easy. Let's go to the conference finals now. Western Conference. We both have Clippers and Lakers. This is a series that we've been kind of waiting on for like 2 years to happen. This might be the year, finally, unless the Clippers choke it away, which I mean that could. I mean we could both see that happening. But Clippers Lakers. Who do you think? I mean, how long do you think that game's gonna go, or is that series gonna go?
Yeah, Lakers in 6. Really, I want to go 5, but Lakers in 6. And I think one thing I'll add, I think Montrezl Harrell is gonna come out for this game, man. And I don't think he absolutely hates the Clippers. I don't think it's that deep, but there is that little bit of saltiness, man, to where he felt like he wasn't wanted, and the Lakers showed that they wanted him. So he's definitely gonna come out to play. I think he's gonna have a big series and stuff like that. So yeah, if the Lakers winning, the only thing, the one advantage that the Clippers have, the coaching, right? I think Doc Rivers is a much better coach than Vogel. Personally, I don't think Frank Vogel is all that of a coach. But at the end of the day, LeBron and AD is better and more consistent than Kawhi and Paul George. And to me, that's the tell of the tape right there.
Yeah. I see Lakers winning. I say Lakers in 7. And the Clippers, the thing with the Clippers, bro, like they always seem to play the Lakers really well. They play them really close, and I think they match up. I think the Clippers are the one team that the Lakers should be a little bit concerned about, honestly, because the Clippers just seem to match up really well with the Lakers whenever they play in the regular season.
True.
Last year when they were
It's
playing,
personal, like with
it's
the
just they just. I mean, Kawhi has a history in the playoffs of shutting LeBron down. I mean that he's done that in the past. Of course, that was a very long time ago, but that still lingers, I think, in my mind. And again, I'm a big Kawhi Leonard fan. I know a lot of people they're kind of at this point. All right, Kawhi is kind of overrated. I can see why people think that. Nevertheless, I still think Lakers take this, but I just think the Clippers, man. Like I trust the Clippers more against the Lakers than I do against the Mavericks. It's weird. Like the Mavericks, they just I don't know. I don't know what it is. Just they play the Lakers really well.
yeah.
And that's
No,
sort
a
of
lot of times it's just matchups and rivalries
yeah.
and things like that. Yeah. By the way,
Um,
who are the bigs for the Clippers? It's Ibaka and the
Zubac,
Zubac. Okay,
but
just one.
Batum,
I think it's gonna come down to it might come down to AD because I think LeBron and Kawhi might just cancel each other out. I mean,
yeah,
LeBron may not average 30, but he's gonna get his dime, so he'll make up for it in other ways. But
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think like the Clippers, they got a lot of who they get in the offseason. They got Ibaka and Batum right in the
yeah.
offseason. I
Rondo,
think,
yeah,
I think like Batum was a big pickup. I thought that guy, I hadn't heard that name in forever. I thought he was out of the league, and all of a sudden I remember he got a really terrible contract in Charlotte where he was making a ton of money, not even playing, and all of a sudden he shows up in the Clippers and starts draining 3-pointers
yeah,
all the
he's a
time.
good fit for them randomly. Who
Yeah,
the
it's like where
fuck?
did he come from?
Because when they got on, like, okay, whatever, but he's been a good fit for them.
Playing big minutes. Eastern Conference, Brooklyn versus Philadelphia. We both have that matchup. I'll go ahead. I'll say Brooklyn in 5. How about you?
I want to. This is gonna sound crazy, bro. I thought about this and I was flirting with a sweep, but I'll go Brooklyn 5, man. I
Yeah,
can't, like, the Philly's too good to get swept. But
yeah,
let me tell you, man, mark my words, like Ben Simmons is gonna get exposed so bad, man, like per usual. But we'll see.
yeah,
Yeah, I just all right. I mean, you could get KD. They'll probably match him up against KD, but Harden or what you're gonna. I mean, well, Thibault is pretty good too defensively. I'm not gonna act like he's a scrub. He's actually pretty good. But again, one of those guys is going off. Like, he doesn't matter. One of them is going off. And by the way, this entire conversation we haven't mentioned, Joe Harris either. And the
yeah.
depth that they have at the bench. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I got Nets in 5 for that.
Joe Harris, man, he's like kind of that. He's like the gadget where just I feel like he's almost he's obviously not as good as Klay Thompson, but he's sort of he can play that role where like you look over and Joe Harris just starts draining threes on you, and you're like, all right, like once he catches fire,
Oh
obviously
yeah.
not to the same extent as Klay Thompson, but the same sort of thing where, all right, you got these 3 guys you got to deal with. And oh, by the way, this guy in the corner hasn't missed all game and he's just draining threes on your head. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
just adds to that. You know what I mean? It's just,
And the one thing I'll add to that too, one thing people don't talk about enough with Joe Harris is his IQ. He has very good basketball IQ, and he knows his role, bro. Like,
yeah,
if you step up and smother him, he's gonna get rid of the ball. He doesn't force a lot of stuff. Great IQ. He's a player. Honestly, he could play and thrive in any team, bro, in the NBA. He's one of the few players you could just take him, boop, pluck him anywhere you want to, and he'll do very well. Right?
yeah. And yeah. I mean, Brooklyn, he's kind of one of the, I don't want to use the expression. He's like what is it? The straw that breaks the camel's back, because there's already 3 superstars in that team, but he's just kind of the guy where it's like, all right, you're like, it's already so overwhelming to play the Brooklyn Nets, and then you got Joe Harris you got to deal
He
with.
just puts him over the top.
Yeah, he just puts him over the top. All right, NBA Finals, Lakers Nets. We both have this one. Who do you have winning this?
I got the Nets in
It's gotta
7,
be Nets, man.
and I hate it, bro. I'm not a Lakers fan, but I am a LeBron fan, and I enjoy watching. I'm a fan of a lot of people, like Dame Lillard. He's my favorite NBA player, so
Yeah.
I love watching the Blazers. But I don't have an actual NBA team, but I hate the Nets, bro. I really I don't care for KD,
Bro.
just Irving, none of them guys. It just pains me, bro. It pains me. I want to say the Lakers so bad. I cannot, bro. I just cannot. I gotta go with the Nets in 7, and I hope I'm wrong, bro. I really do. But I the one thing I'll say, man, the Lakers are pretty good defensively. They're very good defensively. And DeAndre Jordan is he's gonna be barbecue chicken for AD, man. That AD is gonna just have a series, bro, like in that finals.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because, in my opinion, the Lakers' biggest weakness defensively or guards, man, guards that can score or ISO guards. That's why a Blazers team would give them way more problems than a Denver team, even Denver with a healthy Murray. But that's exactly what the Nets have, man. They have ISO players and players that are prolific in terms, well, guards to be more specific. So
Nets
yeah,
Nets don't. It's not even like the first of all. But I think last time we talked, I said I think the Lakers are gonna win the championship, but they're not. Like my prediction, I've changed my mind. I'm like, yeah, the Nets are just too stacked,
they're
especially if
too
their three guys are healthy.
they're
But
too much.
the thing with Brooklyn with the guards, that not only do they just have like Lakers, their weakness is good guards who can play in the isolation game. The Nets have arguably the two greatest ISO players as far as guards go, like the past like 20, 30. I mean, like Michael, Kobe, AI, other than guys like them, I'm probably missing a few, but like they're up there as far as just the greatest isolation players of all time.
James Harden, if we're being honest, I might put James Harden over AI because James Harden doesn't work as much as AI to get
Yeah,
a shot.
you
He
just have to do
doesn't.
a step
You
back
have
and
to
drains
understand
it.
that, bro. Step back, that's it. James Harden could get off a quality look whenever the hell he wants. And that people need to think about that and understand how serious that is, bro. Whenever the hell he wants, he could get a quality look. Not he could get a shot off. He can get a quality look. And that's just, bro, to have that on your team. And then to have Joe Harris on this side, KD on that side, to where, I mean, good luck trying to double him. Okay, fine, sure. You want to leave Joe Harris wide open? It's a headache. It's not fair, bro. It's not fair.
But Joe Harris, I said earlier, I compared Joe Harris to Klay Thompson earlier. I'm gonna compare Joe Harris. He's playing the Steve Kerr role on this team, just like Steve Kerr on the Bulls back in the day, where you got to
Yeah.
double Michael, you got to double somebody.
Instead of Michael, you got three Michaels.
You got three
You know?
Michaels, bro. You got three guys who can give it to you.
I thought long and hard. I was thinking about this last night. I'm like, man, is there a path for the Lakers to win? I'm trying to think beyond just LeBron's sheer greatness. And I started thinking, okay, so let's just say LeBron and KD, they cancel each other out. And I'll probably even give the edge to LeBron because LeBron will probably, he might give you more defensively. He's going to give you more in the area of assist and things of that nature, facilitate. Okay, boom. But
Yeah.
after that, man, Kyrie blows out the Lakers guards. He's going to blow out Schroeder, man. And then the worst matchup to me, man, is the shooting guard matchup, assuming that I'm calling James Harden a shooting guard. Like if James Harden is averaging 25 points, it's a wrap, bro. Who like
I say they put Caruso on him
you're
probably.
not getting that from him. Who are you getting that from for the Lakers?
Yeah.
You know, you're not getting that from Caruso. Like, where's that coming from? So
yeah, I think like Caruso was guarding Steph a lot at the end of the game in the playing game, so I could see them putting Caruso on a guy like Kyrie or I think Harden probably more than Kyrie. But again, like that doesn't
there's no
matter.
answer for Harden. To me, Nets versus Lakers, Harden is the variable that is just like, what do the Lakers do with him? I think if the Lakers are smart, they're better off putting Caruso on Kyrie just because he's bigger. He has that length will give him problems. But Caruso, as great as a defender as he is, he's barbecue chicken for James Harden. I got so
I like, and I feel kind of scummy saying this, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If the Nets played Lakers in the finals, I'm gonna cheer for the Brooklyn Nets, just because I love James Harden. Like you say, you're a fan of players. I'm a big fan of James Harden. Guys like Jokic as well, Kawhi, but Harden, I just want to see him win a championship, and I'd love if he got Finals MVP. I also hate the Lakers too, but like, I mean, I like Harden.
I honestly think Harden is the most important player. He's the most important piece for the success of the Nets. Now, is he the best player? No, that's KD.
Yeah.
But if you were to tell me, man, one of these guys, like, then again, that's tough. But yeah, I think Harden's the most important player. If Harden plays well and he's successful, it's a wrap, bro.
Like, he's just too damn good. All right, I think we literally only disagreed on like the Portland Denver series and who else was it?
But I don't think we disagreed on any of the second round matchups.
Yeah,
From
I think
second round, forward, I don't think there was any
We
disagreements.
got the exact same predictions. That's weird. I was seeing like like people on Instagram are posting theirs, and they had all sorts of weird matchups in the finals. I thought you'd be kind of I didn't think we'd agree on that. I was seeing like Clips versus Bucks in the finals, stuff like that. I'm like, there's no way.
Clips, man. Again, I have the Clippers beating Dallas, man, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm not.
it's the Clippers,
I
bro.
definitely would have put money on that game because it's the same Clippers like years. And I've been watching basketball for a very long time. It's not just this current iteration of the Clippers, man. It's something about the organization, man. It's just I don't know what it is, but it just you saw what happened last year. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's a
But
cursed team, man. The team is
they
cursed.
are.
It's injuries that like, if they don't choke it away, injuries happen. You know what I mean? Like Chris Paul hit a game-winning layup, and then Blake Griffin on that same play in Game 7 will like fall on his back and injure himself, and then it's just like it's just unlucky. A lot of times it's unluckiness, and a lot of times it's just choke it away.
Yeah, I hope they make it, man. I'd really love to see Clippers and Lakers, man. Like
Yeah,
we've been wanting to see that in the playoffs, and we haven't had that. So, and then we could oh yeah, the Lakers got lucky in the finals. They dodged the Clippers. Well, that doesn't really make sense because the Clippers did a massive choke job. So how good
yeah.
were they? You know?
I think the Lakers got luckier in the finals in the fact that Miami just got really unlucky with injuries. I mean, if Lakers
Oh,
would
yeah,
get
for sure.
lucky at all, it'd be the injuries to
Would
Miami.
be
But
different.
I mean,
And
that's
let
all
me
in the
ask you
past.
this though. Would you say that, in my opinion, I think even with a healthy Heat team, that would be one of the lesser talented finals team that we've seen in a while, if we're being completely honest.
100%, 100%. But I think the fact Miami, dude, it's weird reminiscing on this because I mean, it's in the past, it doesn't matter. But I can't help but think to myself every once in a while, how the fuck did the Miami Heat get 2 games out of the Lakers last year, fully healthy Lakers, when Miami was literally had their best player playing on it, like he had a sprained ankle in game 1, Bam Adebayo barely played. When he did nothing because he was hurt. And Goran Dragic barely played. When he couldn't do very much because he was hurt. And the Heat still gave the Lakers 2 games fully healthy, man. That's probably a 7 game series. Like just when you kind of take that into account,
Mhm.
I just if I could go back and just replay one series fully healthy, it'd probably be that one in the last like 10 or so years.
Yeah,
Just because I just
no,
want to see
that's
what
a
would
good point.
happen.
But the Heat, they are a very unique team in that a lot of the things that they do that makes them special, you can't quantify it in the stat sheets, man. And it's hard, it's grit,
Yeah.
it's relentlessness, and all of that is led by Jimmy
It's
Butler
Jimmy
and
Butler.
the
Yeah.
Purple suit.
That's
So
just the guy. Uh,
they hustled their way to some of those wins. Yeah,
yeah. One last question for you. This is sort of like the GOAT debate. First, is Michael Jordan right now, currently is MJ the GOAT in your opinion?
for me, 100%. Yeah. As a matter of fact, this shirt says it. Right,
Right.
LeBron is the best.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. So
let's let's say hypothetically the Lakers win a championship this year and LeBron wins Finals MVP. Is that I think this is the GOAT run right here for
that's
LeBron.
gonna switch. If
I
and
think it has to switch.
I want to be emphatically clear, if LeBron James wins the finals, and I would hope he would, you would think he'd get the Finals MVP. LeBron James is the GOAT, 100%.
Has to be.
100%. People have to understand those that are still clinging to Jordan being the GOAT, right? Like, okay, I get it, but it's becoming a harder and harder and harder debate as LeBron James, year what, 17, 18, 36. This dude, listen, bro, I can make an argument for LeBron as the GOAT just by virtue of the length of his prime. Just that. Forget all the other stuff. Forget MVPs, whatever. Let's just look at who has had the best prime in the history of the NBA. LeBron James.
The
It's
longest
not even
prime.
close.
I'd say like the peak, probably not LeBron, but like the longest
No,
prime.
no, he's definitely at the peak.
Yeah.
To me, I'm sorry, but peak LeBron, maybe most people think peak LeBron's like what, 2013, I
13,
think,
yeah.
like around there. He's not seeing 96 Jordan.
No.
there's levels to this, bro. Peak LeBron is not seeing 96 Jordan, bro. And to be honest with you, Jordan's peak 3 years, LeBron's peak 3 years are not seeing any of those years, right?
Yeah.
So, but again, there is something to be said about longevity and
Yeah.
consistency. So,
But
but
I
yeah,
think
Jordan wins.
if
I
if
mean, LeBron
LeBron
wins, you gotta give
if
it to him.
the thing is, like, I think LeBron or the Lakers have a very tough road to the championship. Phoenix is a damn good team. Denver kind of lesser, and then the Clippers, I think, in the final. I mean, say what you will about the Clippers, you still have to look at them as a contender because there's still a path to the finals for them. They can kind of bullshit their way to
Yeah.
the NBA finals. I mean, they could do it.
They
I
have
mean,
the talent.
they
Like,
have
let's
it.
be clear. They have the talent and the coaching. So it's
I
not crazy to say that.
And they're a tough out for the Lakers. That's a very tough team to match up against, and then going up against the Brooklyn Nets in the finals, or a team that somehow beat the Brooklyn Nets. That championship run right there. Not to mention the fact they already had to play a play-in game against the MVP, or a guy who LeBron thought was the MVP, and Steph Curry, who has MVP talent, and you had to play that. Then 4 tough series. I mean,
Yeah,
this is
that's
the
not
GOAT
really
run.
any easy series. Let me tell you this, bro. Could you imagine if the Lakers win? I already see the narrative, man. They're gonna start with the Warriors, man. The Lakers, they barely made the playoffs, man. They were on the verge of missing the playoffs entirely, and they face this hungry Warriors team. You know, they barely got out of that game, and then boom, boom, boom. LeBron James, they've been decimated by injuries all season long. They got a bunch of new pieces. I already see the narrative, man. They're gonna
Yeah.
romanticize that whole. If LeBron James went, and to I'll be honest with you, man. If he wins and he somehow beats this Nets team, that might be his greatest accomplishment, man. You can argue that that's greater than 2016 when he took out the Warriors,
Yeah.
because I don't know if I'm ready to say that this iteration of the Nets is better than the Warriors. I'm curious to see how you feel about that. I'm not ready yet. Once I see the whole playoffs and see how they play, then I'll make a decision. But if
Yeah.
you're talking about star power, yeah, there's more star power there than
Like, you
So
mean if the Nets right now were to play the 2016 Warriors, 2016, that's before KD, right? Are
yeah.
you're saying you're not sure who would win? Like, are you saying you're not sure who's better, or are you saying, like,
Well,
what are you saying there?
I guess because he did lose. He never beat KD, right? No, he didn't. They only
No.
won that one 2016. Yeah, basically, I'm talking about 2016. Technically, on paper, I think the Nets team is better, but I'm not sure that they're a better team. That 2016 Warriors.
2016, bro, that was Golden State.
Yeah,
Like,
and
the
it's the defense too,
their
man.
defense,
Like,
yeah. It
it's
was
both. It ain't just one side. It's the defense and offense.
They had a bunch of guys, man. I remember, like, guys like Festus Ezeli, guys like that, just
Mhm.
like random guy like Mo Spates, just guy you just
I think
scraps.
Barbosa,
Yeah,
like
like just Barbosa, Sean Livingston was a dog. Like, they had all these guys.
Sean Livingston, I don't think hit a mid range that entire playoffs.
You don't think he had a minute,
He was
bro?
post up a
That's
small
his whole
guard,
game.
whoop, back him up, turn around, boom. Like that's all he did. Just butter the whole time.
Yeah,
But
man. No,
yeah,
that those Warriors teams, like 2016, that was hype. But at the same time, OKC in 2016, you could say was, if you replay that series, they probably would beat the Golden State Warriors in 2016,
mhm.
just because they had KD, Russell Westbrook, Ibaka. I mean, 2016, it was a weird year, honestly, because you look back and it's like, all right, Golden State, who they have? They had Draymond, Clay, and Steph, and that team won 72 games, like 73 games. Right now, it looks kind of weird, but like at the time, it was just like, holy shit, Draymond, Clay, and Steph.
Yeah. And at the time, I remember when they lost, they lost 6 games. It was news. Like, oh my, like Warriors lost. Like every
Yeah,
time they lost, I remember they lost to Milwaukee. It's like, oh my gosh, like
that was
it was the headline in Sports Center. The Warriors lost. It's like, okay.
yeah, that
And
was
then
the
like
first
they
one. It
lose a
was
game, win like freaking 10, lose one, win five. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, it was against Milwaukee. Like, they won like 24 straight games and they finally lost. And it's just like this international, this crazy event that just happened. Um, but yeah, do you have anything else you want to say, or are we good to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, man, we're good to. Well, you actually did not. I don't think you gave your response. On so is LeBron the goat if the Lakers
Oh,
win the finals?
oh yeah. If
And
if this
currently, you have
man,
Jordan.
if LeBron runs the table, and if this man wins the championship, Finals MVP, even if he doesn't get a Finals MVP, like, obviously I can't just say, all right, he's gonna be the GOAT, because you never know what's gonna happen, right? The way they win might be on some bullshit, but like, I say this is his GOAT run. I've been notorious in the past for, I mean, people call me a LeBron hater. All right, fair enough. I've definitely said some dumb things about LeBron, but I like to think I've matured and come to the realization where I can't it's getting more and more difficult to not call LeBron
Yeah,
the greatest player ever. And shit, if
yeah.
he does this, what are you gonna say? What can you say? He's got one less ring than Jordan, and the teams he's beaten in the finals are better than but like the Spurs, fucking sure OKC is not that good. Spurs, Golden State, Brooklyn,
Hmm.
like that's just I mean the resume he has of teams he's beaten is just too good. And he's just so good, bro. Like it's
Oh, yeah, yeah,
ridiculous.
for sure.
Yeah. Um. Anyway, other than that, we all good to go here. OJ, I appreciate you hopping on here again.
And thank you for having me. It's
It was a
always a
good
pleasure.
talk. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to episode 28 of the Off the Dome podcast. Our full playoff predictions, we're both picking the Brooklyn Nets over the LA Lakers in the NBA Finals. It's going to happen. Trust. Other than that, peace out, y'all.
Let me get more volume.